I'm going to take you back to a time of innocence, to a time where I had all the time in the world, had no worries, and didn't have a need to almost cry myself to sleep every night. Now, I don't exactly remember when, but at a very young age, I do vaguely remember my parents, mainly my mom, showing me a little movie you might have heard of. It was great. While I didn't analyze the depth of it as a 5, 6, 7-year-old, I was entranced with the film and its sequel. Not really the others, despite watching them. As well as realizing later on that the Donner cut is way better. But that's beside the point. This film, to this day, still makes the world believe that a man can fly. Except Snyder fans, but we don't talk about them. It was also around this time that another little movie came out in theaters that I went to go see with my family, which also helped shape me. What I didn't realize that these films were ingrained in me from a young age and were ready to be reawakened when the time came. I eventually grew up a bit, watching both Spider-Man sequels in theaters as well as watching Michael Keaton's Batman films at home. I love them all. So much. Then I turned 11, and that same year, The Dark Knight, Iron Man, and The Incredible Hulk came out. It was through this, as well as being transferred to a new school where people actually liked me, where my geekdom was truly awakened. I befriended another nerdy guy who changed my life in more ways than one. And it was kind of through my middle school and high school years that I evolved into being a geek. My love of superheroes grew and grew. I started learning about them and loving the stories, watching the movies that unfolded on the big screen. Even though I liked Marvel, and still do, very much so, I loved DC. Their characters and stories intrigued me more. Batman being quintessential, of course, but Superman, The Flash, Green Lantern, Teen Titans, Green Arrow, Captain Marvel, Plastic Man, Blue Beetle, Booster Gold, and tons of others I couldn't help but love. When I was 15, Arrow came onto the scene, and this fucking show is where it all started. Where the downfall began. We didn't know it yet, but it was gonna happen. It was being helmed by the guys who brought us another green superhero the year before to disastrous results. Whoever's bright idea it was to give these fuckers another shot should be shot. But let's not get into that just yet. So, we started watching, and it was great. For like 2 seasons. Then immediately went to shit and never recovered. But with this, we got introduced to another character named Barry Allen in Season 2. The Flash was released the very next year to positive reception, while at the same time, Arrow was going through its second worst season of the entire show. According to most people, I never watched Season 4. So you're probably wondering, what the fuck is this? What are you doing? Why are you talking about bullshit and never getting to the point? Well, I will. Hold on a sec. Through the CW shows, now with Crisis on Infinite Earths, the biggest story DC ever told being relegated to a garbage budget and even worse writing, we get fans celebrating mediocrity. As well as the fact that the next film to be released by DC will be Margot Robbie's ego trip, hitting us over the head with an overrated and terrible character that's becoming DC's mascot for some reason, while relegating a badass and amazing superheroine team to the background, making a joke out of the most batshit insane and psychotic DC villains ever, and with a costume budget that makes it look like the designers went fucking dumpster diving. What happened? What got us to this point? I know it's easy to put blame to a name. It's very easy. But this just goes to show that Warner Brothers don't know what to do with these characters. We have a guy who is a fucking poser fan producing 6 going on 8 shows where he's using them as a mouthpiece for politics with the amount of subtlety as a fucking bulldozer to the fucking face. A man who, despite making some of the most empty, shitty fucking movies with pretend depth, is being celebrated by dumbasses by making a 3-hour Christ allegory circle jerk with limited understanding of how these characters work, despite the fact it doesn't exist and no one has actually fucking seen it. All of this being run by a company who doesn't think an 80-year-old character is fucking relevant, so they have to pay a guy who ruined not one but two fucking beloved franchises to make him relevant again. Okay. Through the years, we've gotten let down, beat down, and pretty much been broken with how much WB has desecrated these characters. For every great thing out of this company regarding DC, we get 4 or 5 fucking shitty things. For every, let's say, Shazam, we get yeah, with my last video, you all probably knew this was coming. From the man that ruined Green Lantern, Green Arrow, Black Canary, Flash, Iris West, Supergirl, Superman, Martian Manhunter, Batwoman, Luke Fox, and a shit ton of other amazing characters, as well as the guy who wrote this.
Cool party. You are not sending me to the cool. Stay cool, bird boy. All right, everyone. Chill. Breathe well. Let's kick some ice.
Yeah, whoever's bright idea that was probably took a bath with a toaster a long time ago. Although, props to Akiva Goldsman for ruining the 2 out of the 3 live-action portrayals of Dick Grayson, with the only semi-good version being the embodiment of cheese, as I mentioned last time. But, moving on, I think it's safe to say that Titans is the straw that broke the camel's back. I could, for the most part, tolerate Greg Berlanti and company's constant bombardment of awful writing, horrific melodrama, and piss-poor acting. I could, again, for the most part, tolerate WB's mishandling of magnificent characters, playing catch-up to Marvel, having the wrong people be in charge, studio mandates, and other garbage. Titans kinda just made everything really real to me. It gave me this epiphany. It made me really fully realize how DC is completely and utterly butt-fucked from every possible angle. Titans is a show about full-grown adults acting like children, making decisions that don't make sense, having subplots that get started for no reason and then go nowhere, constantly bombard you with bullshit and arcs that go screeching down a road that leads to the most idiotic points, having the most unappealing look of any show I've ever watched ever, and just manages to completely miss the point of quite literally every single fucking character that stars on the show. Season 1 was mediocre at best, but it was at least heading into a direction that could have been good. Season 2 gave everyone hope, and it managed to beat us down until we really just stopped caring. Or, at least to me. I've never been so aggravated watching a show. Watching these great and rather underrated characters being butt-fucked 6 ways till Sunday to the point where they aren't even recognizable as their own characters, let alone good characters at all. You can put Darth Vader, Voldemort, Hannibal Lecter, Pennywise, and Nurse Ratched in a fucking blender, and that fucked up love child would not even match the hatred I have for these characters. There is quite literally a scene in Season 2 where fully grown adults bully a child, a minor, into nearly committing suicide, and it is quite literally never talked about ever again after the fact. I think the Joker would even be like, yeah, sure, I might have beaten this kid with a crowbar and blown him up, but you guys are fucking assholes. I know it's never the actor's fault, but there has to be a point where they realize they aren't doing anything of quality. There has to be. Now, I can't speak for everyone on the show, but I know for a fact that Brenton Thwaites and Esai Morales have done quality work in the past. I can't really speak for a lot of the more unknown actors and actors whose stuff I haven't watched. But this is just... ugh. It took a while, but this show just brought most of my hope for DC crumbling to the ground. I have been beaten down by these people, this company, and these horrific pieces of entertainment, although I use that term very, very loosely. It's just that Titans is more than just an awful show for me. As angry as I am, I'm more sad than anything. I just want these characters to be done right. Not even done right, just done well and interesting. With Titans, it made me doubt my love for DC. Hell, not even DC, just geeky things in general. When I found these heroes and these stories, I was in a really dark place. But these stories gave me hope, gave me a way to escape, like it does for so many other people. Titans just made me feel worthless. Like I spent so much time and energy in these things that I love, that Titans made me feel like it was all for naught. I know it may seem silly that it all happened because of one show, but there is a reason I went into the backstory. It's all been downhill since season 3 of Arrow. That's where the anger begins, that turns good men cruel. I know I'm quoting something I just shit on, but it still kind of works. Titans is literally every DC problem personified into one package. Every single solitary thing that doesn't work about modern DC can be found in Titans. The color palette that looks like it came from a Rage Against the Machine music video? Check. Dark edgy crap that thinks it's being adult when in reality it's just more childish? Check. Awful acting from talented actors? Check. Not understanding the characters in the slightest? Check. Force-fed political commentary that throws subtlety out the fucking window? Check. Piss-poor writing? Check. Idiotic melodrama? Fucking check. Titans hates its core audience, so why should I sacrifice so much for it when it hates me? It's like being in an abusive relationship. I keep giving it so much. My time, my energy, my love, when I fucking shouldn't. That's why I'm putting my foot down and not watching it anymore. And it feels kinda good, but unfortunately, it's too late and the damage is done. I still feel sad, angry, the doubt of being a fan. They made me feel all those things and beat me down to the point of being a shell, a hole, an empty, rotting corpse. There's only so much Reeve, Keaton, Conroy, Nolan, Carver, and others can do. So, what now? What's next? Well, Greg Berlanti managed to suck someone off long enough to get 2 more shows on HBO Max, one of which being a character he already fucking ruined. As I said, next DC movie is going to be Margot Robbie ruining beloved characters we've wanted to see on the big screen for a long, long time. Is there any hope for this brand? Like, at all? Is there a diamond in the rough? Is there any way I can love again? Well, the simple answer is, I really don't know. Well, yes, we do have Wonder Woman 1984, sequels to awesome movies, and Matt Reeves' upcoming Batman movie. I just became so burnt out. I'm excited for some of them, but in combination with the CW shows, Titans, the mishandling of characters by WB, I have a strong feeling that it will only go downhill from here, somehow further. Much like with Marvel post-Endgame. But fanboys for both will eat this shit up no matter what. I just don't know if I can anymore. Even worse with the fact that the comic side as of this moment is garbage as well. Don't get me started on Tom King and Brian Michael Bendis, or Dan DiDio for that matter. Although, I do have those older movies, the older books, the older TV shows, and that sort of thing, as well as the few good things on the horizon, I mean, I'm currently reading Jim Kruger and Alex Ross's Justice, which is exemplary so far. And I think I might do a video on that in the future, maybe hopefully to build my hope up again. But even with that, in the current climate, without those past things, I really want an outlook of Superman, hopeful and only sees the good. But I know for a fact I can only see darkness. And that really fucking sucks.